Hey everybody, I just want to make a review video detailing two video game graphic novels based on the Wolf Among Us Telltale Games franchise. And the comic books only spanned they spanned over 16 issues, but were made into two graphic novel hardcovers. And they detail all 5 episodes of the game series from episode 1, Faith, Episode 2, Smoke and Mirrors, Episode 3, A Crooked Mile, Episode 4, forgot what Episode 4 was called, and Episode 5, Cry Wolf. And now, as you all know, The Wolf Among Us details the story of Fabletown and the Fables who live in New York City after they were exiled from the homelands, and Fabletown is run by Sheriff Bigby Wolf, or the Big Bad Wolf, and he has to try and keep himself under control and try and keep the whole entirety of Fabletown from just losing control and killing each other. But then he starts to almost lose that control when a girl's head gets left on the Woodland apartment doorstep, which starts a big investigation which leads them from everywhere from pawn shops to offices. Hell, even they investigate inside of the Fabletown business office on numerous occasions, and has multiple encounters with very iconic fables. Bigby has to work with Snow White, Beauty and Beast, and has to fight against the Tweedles, Dumb and Dee, the Jersey Devil. He'll have an encounter with Grendel, or Gren. Then he ends up stumbling upon Holly, the troll's missing sister Lily. And then there's Bigby Wolf, who can only transform when he chooses or when he is on the verge of death. Now, as you know, as the game starts, he comes to a rundown apartment run by Mr. Toad, formerly of Toad Hall, and the Woodsman, who has a bunch of history with Bigby, as you all know the story of Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf, and the Woodsman. They end up into a fight. The Woodsman beats Bigby, cuts open his belly and fills it up with stones, throws him in the river. But then this time, Bigby gets the upper hand and beats the Woodsman by breaking his jaw with the Woodsman's axe. Then Bigby meets this girl, Faith, who ends up dead hours later. Then Bigby goes to a bar and tries to find out information from the Woodsman, but then he also he runs in with Tweedledee and soon to be Tweedledum, and they end up beating him up. But then later on, he would go to the bar and start questioning the Woodsman. Then he would get into a fight with Gren. Then Tweedledee would show up, and Bigby would have to choose whether to chase after the Woodsman or Tweedledee. Now, the comics do bear a big difference from the video game, as there's some elements in the comics that are actually that take some parts that were cut during development, as originally, instead of being at the steps inside of the apartment, Mr. Toad is outside. So originally, Mr. Toad was supposed to be outside when Bigby shows up, so there's a lot of differences between The Wolf Among Us. Some of the characters look a slight different. Like, not really many characters change. The Woodsman has some different looks, like in the comic. In the first issue, he has a flannel on that's has long sleeves. But it's either that in the game his sleeves are just pulled up or rolled up and you just don't notice. But a lot of characters have some different looks or end up having the looks that they do in their next appearances. Like Prince Lawrence, for instance, he has his black shirt on. He has the outfit on if you end up going to his apartment first before going to see who was rummaging through the Woodsman's apartment. he will be wearing the outfit that you see him wearing during Lily's funeral, instead of the outfit with the ruined, bloody shirt that he has in the game. And in the comic, he is riddled with bullet holes, but in the game, he only has one shot, and that's supposed to be near his heart, that what he thought. But then the second book, Volume 2, details the entire story of when they chase after Ichabod Crane. He's thought to be the killer, one who killed Lily and Faith. And this also leads to the Crooked Man, who is trying to take over Fabletown and run it for himself. And it ends up being revealed that Georgie Porgy was the one behind the murders of Faith and Lily. And then it ends up leading, but then also during this, Bigby has a massive encounter with Bloody Mary, who clones herself multiple times or makes copies of herself, and Bigby has to go full on Big Bad Wolf or Beast mode and has to end up fighting all these Marys and ends up fighting them all. And then Bigby confronts the Crooked Man and takes him back to the Woodlands for questioning. And now in the video game, you can choose different ways for the different endings. You can throw the Crooked Man down the witching well, rip his head off, which is more than likely something Bigby would do on his own, or lock him up. Now the ending of this, it follows the ending where you choose to imprison him, but there's a big difference here. The difference is that in the game, if you choose to have the Crooked Man locked up, Auntie Greenleaf will turn him into a crow or a raven. I don't know which one. I think it's a crow. He turns him into a bird. But in the book, or in the Fables Wolf Among Us comics, he does not get transformed into anything, and he just gets put in a normal prison cell inside of the Woodland Apartments, or the Woodland building. And then he threatens that he'll use a mirror and he'll break it to take his own life. But then, as it turns out, that he actually uses the mirror as a portal to escape. And then, in the ending scene where Bigby encounters Nerissa after the end of the game, and Nerissa is free of the spell with the ribbon that prevented her from speaking out against anything that was. So she wasn't able to originally speak of the Crooked Man's wrongdoings until he was being put on trial. That's what led to his ultimate arrest. So then at the end, in the game, you have the choice to either follow Nerissa or just go back to the Woodlands. This follows the choice where you go back to the Woodlands, but then we end up seeing the Crooked Man appear out of nowhere and grab Nerissa. And we don't know what happens then. We don't even know what could have happened, because as you all know, The Wolf Among Us was going to have a sequel. It was going to have a season 2, but due to Telltale Games getting shut down, the company just closed down. We were not able to get a season 2 of The Wolf Among Us, so we'll never really know what was going to happen. Maybe the Crooked Man was going to return. Maybe that's what the books were saying, because the books came out after the game, so maybe the books were helping us. Maybe they were leading up to the events of season 2, but who knows. So if you like that review, smash the like button, comment what you want to see me review next, and if you guys want to actually see me play the Wolf Among Us video game, let me know down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.